It's Monday, and we're going to do what we do on every Monday. We're going to go to NFL.com, pull up the next-gen stat charts, and talk about these wide receivers. We're going to look at the trends. We're going to look at whether or not you need to pick up some of these wide receivers. We're going to look at them through the lens of 2024 to see whether or not you should be drafting them, prospecting out to that far in the future. We're also going to be looking at these wide receivers as potential trade candidates, dynasty, fantasy, football, or however your league is ran. I know it's different this time of league for everybody, but you know what? I'm here for everybody as well. But what you need to do right now, click that subscribe button. Tap with the finger on your phone, click it with the mouse on your computer, whatever you need to do to get the job done. I'm here to help you out with the waiver wire every week. I'm here to help you set your lineups. I answer your questions. We do live streams. I'm a huge resource for your drafts and information next August. Click that button. Stop missing out. Let's look into these wide receivers here. First things first is Drake London. He was getting the deep balls here on Sunday against Tampa Bay. Teams like to throw in Tampa Bay. They like to throw it deep. Drake London was an easy play against this matchup. The only question was Arthur Smith, whether or not he was just going to let them run loose, and it happened. There were some instances where it was short and they could have just threw it, and you can see the aggressiveness of the Bucs defense penetrate, and you're like, maybe we should be going all in here. Maybe we should be running loose here because of how this defense is playing the matchup. But Drake London was very effective with 29 PPR fantasy points, 11 targets, 10 catches, 172 yards. That's what you want out of your first-round wide receiver against a pass-funnel defense like this. Odell Beckham's trending up. If for some reason he's still on waivers, pick him up. I recommended him a lot on the live stream yesterday. Just looking at the matchup here, he's been pretty safe, and this game trended like it was going to score some points. It was either going to be one way or the other. I recommended him because he was pushing a 20% target share going in this game, and he was seeing an 8 out above 15. And look at the chart here. You're seeing an 8 out above 15. He's getting deep targets, and he's getting a good volume of targets. That means he's going to be fantasy relevant most weeks. He's going to be getting a lot of opportunities to score fantasy points. Those deep balls are very important to him being productive, and then you see the volume with that. That's something you want. He's going to be a league winner if this keeps up. DJ Moore, he left the game and then came back. Really had me nervous there, but he was very productive in this matchup, catching 6 balls for 68 yards and a touchdown, had 10 targets in this game, getting a lot of volume, and the Bears are being sneaky in these last few matchups here, starting to win some games, beat Detroit here, and DJ Moore has been productive throughout the season, been a solid PPR fantasy asset, and you know what? Looks like it's still going to trend that way. Cooper Kupp looks like he's back after a few dud performances after coming back from the injury. 2 good games in a row, 25 PPR fantasy points here. We're also getting the targets with 10 here, 8 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. This was a good matchup. This game script broke. It broke, and it went off the rails. He got some opportunities here. He was getting the usual targets here. As you can see from the charts, he's getting the short to intermediate work, opportunities to get yacked there, and you know what? Cooper Kupp's back to getting volume. Garrett Wilson needs to be spammed in every matchup. That's what they need to do, is just spam Garrett Wilson, even though they don't want to, even though the matchup on the play doesn't indicate for that. Just spam them. Just spam them targets. The team looks better just spamming Garrett Wilson. I understand there was injuries on the Texans side. It was ugly. It was in the rain. It wasn't the greatest matchup there. But still, spamming Garrett Wilson is something the Jets need to think about. Aaron Rodgers needs to think about that. Zach Wilson needs to think about that. Just spamming him with targets. Make him the Keenan Allen of the team. Just spam, 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 spam. Because this team rolls a little bit better with that being happening, especially when you saw that in the back end of the game when he was getting target after target after target. Rashee Rice is becoming a huge trend. Maybe a rookie league winner right here. Should not be on waivers anymore. I do not project that. I mean, we yelled about him being on waivers for like a month and a half straight. So I think he should be on a roster, and you should be playing with him in your lineups going forward. Still hard to trust with the Chiefs, but we have 3 games straight of production here. I can't wait to dig into the advanced metrics on him to see where the ADOT's at. Looks like he's getting a little bit deeper on the targets. Looks like he's still getting a lot of targets around 6 yards or less, though. That is not a good sign, but we're also starting to see more deep targets as well. We see at least 3 or 4 there, so that's a good sign as well. I think he would be better in fantasy, more consistent if a lot of his targets were a little bit deeper, this team has been throwing a lot of short targets, I think he's good to go at the contested catch point at the NFL level. I think he can really do numbers in this offense if they start allowing him to work deep a little bit more. And I'm not saying deep ball city like he's Tyreek Hill. I'm saying a little bit deeper. I'm saying no more games where he has an ADOT of 1 like he did in week 13. No more games of ADOTs of 5. I'm saying ADOT around 9, 10, 11. I'm saying that. Normal ADOTs. Let's give him a normal ADOT. Let's see what happens here. Courtland Sutton, speaking of ADOT, he is a splash wide receiver, and that's his game. That's how he is in fantasy. He gets that deep ball. He gets that deep touchdown. It's scared to start him every week or any week, but you know what? A lot of matchups, you got to do it. It was against the Chargers. That was a plus matchup for him, and if you start him, you know what? You got Courtland Sutton results here, 15 fantasy points, 4 targets, 3 catches, 62 yards. Most of that came on one play, and you know what? That's just how that works with Courtland Sutton. Quentin Johnston is being sneaky down the stretch. He is being very sneaky down the stretch. We had 2 games back-to-back with double-digit PPR fantasy points. Not the greatest. We got a 10 spot and a 12 spot, but we got the deep ball in this matchup. Go check the highlight on that. It was pretty nice here, but he excels well downfield, and the targets were not running deep as consistently throughout the season. Last week, we saw him run some deeper routes, just not getting the targets on those. But again, if you get him on some deep targets, allow him to get some volume there, maybe we get a little bit more out of him. Allow him to play on the boundary some. Allow him to do the things that he's good at. However, it's been a slow year for him. It's been up and down. But you know what? He has shown some indicators where he can turn things around as well. Something you may want to look at into 2024. It's not a guarantee. Those are just little numbers that we're seeing here. We're seeing the targets ramp up. They're up and down. We're seeing some snaps. We've also seen some drops. So devil's advocate there. But you know what? If the price is right, then you might. If the price is right, then you might. You know what? You're going to be seeing them in double-digit rounds in redraft next year. And in Dynasty's dirt cheap. So you may want to look at them according to price, and that depending on what you want to do there. Deebo Samuel, he was very cheap this season. Now the price is through the roof. He's been going off. He's been going ham. Look at the last 3 weeks here. 22 fantasy points against Seattle, 35 against Philly, and now 34 against Seattle again. Just been going off in these plus matchups, getting opportunities, getting yak, doing what he does. And you know what? He's going to be a league winner down the stretch, especially if this keeps going on. And it should be. He should be getting these targets, should be getting opportunities. And you know what? Deebo Samuel's still a good wide receiver. He was kind of left out for dead earlier in the season, especially in the start of the year when it came to drafts. Now he's really giving you a return on investment. Amari Cooper can play with jabroni quarterbacks. Flacco gave him the targets here. 14. We had that in question going into this game because we didn't see it last week because he only saw 5, which was okay. But 14 is a lot better number, especially when Flacco was just eyeballing Elijah Moore in week 13. Now we're getting 14 targets to Amari Cooper, 7 catches, 77 yards, 12 fantasy points. So like wide receiver 3-ish numbers there. So it's okay to get you by in fantasy, but you're not in love with it. But you know what? We got a lot of routes there to the outside, getting a lot of targets on the outs. And you know what? That's good enough to get the job done for us. And those are 10 wide receivers that we're looking at from week 14. We're looking at the trends. We're looking at what they could be doing next year. Trades, pickups, whatever came up on the trends we were looking at this week, like we do every other week. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.